Hi, I'm Debra Dank. I'm Gudanji Wakaja and I'm the author of We Come With This Place. My book has been shortlisted for the 2023 Stella Prize. So my book is a collection of stories that tell about our experience and our relationship with our country. I think it fits into the creative non-fiction genre. I tend not to describe it as a memoir because the story is so much bigger than myself. One of the things that I was really keen to explore while I was putting the stories together was how we related to our country, but also how country related to us. Also some of the stories about how we share our space with what I refer to as our non-human kin. So the relationships that have existed for thousands and thousands of years between humans, non-humans and country is absolutely the central theme of this book. My book grew out of my PhD, and I was fortunate enough to have been offered a scholarship through Deakin University. So I took 6 months off work and I went home. Home is the northern Barkly Tablelands in the Northern Territory, where we don't have access to internet or phone calls and things like that. So for 6 months, my hubby and I, we would walk around on country, we would catch fish for dinner, and he would then start the small generator that we took with us to run my laptop, and I wrote. And one of the most wonderful things in that time was a little bird that came and sat at my feet, and he danced around every time I sat at that laptop. So it was the opportunity to reconnect with where I'm from, to be with the ancestors, and to have that time to actually remember where it was that I had come from, and to be able to then listen to the stories that country motivated me to pay greater attention to. For me, being part of the Stella community now is a pretty phenomenal imagining. There was no real intent for it to become a book. So yeah, you know, what Stella has offered through this is not just something around my ability to become a writer or to recognise myself as a writer, but the ability to share these stories with the broader community. Arid places. Bimbo and I had been driving for many hours, and the early morning light had long changed into the searing heat of midday, with the sun overhead sending out a clean, hot light that cast a silver sheen over the surrounding countryside. Bimbo looked at me as I hung my arm out of the window, spreading my fingers into the wind, letting the wind lift my arm with its presence. Occasionally, I could snatch a leaf from the vehicle as it veered near a tree or a bush that had grown closer to the track. "Careful, Bub, something might be in those bushes. A stick might spear you." And then he said the words guaranteed to make me pull my hand back, "Or there might be a spider." My hand was inside again in an instant, and I looked at him to try to work out if he was kidding me or not. He wore the smile he always had on his face. It was a kind of inscrutable but also comforting smile that came from a deeply personal level of in-my-skin comfort. And as I looked closely, the glint in his eyes twinkled at me. My hand crept back to the window opening, and he said, with his eyes back on the twisting road, "Spiders, Bub." And his smile stilled. I placed my hand on my lap and said nothing.